Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's Newsstand, and I am looking at Heroes in Crisis 3. And it's called Master Lagoon. It's by Tom King. Clayman does some of the art. I think 2 pages was only this time, and Lee Weeks does the rest. But you don't notice the art change. Like I was reading Odyssey, and yesterday the new issue was a different artist, and it just completely changed the feel of the whole book. In this one, you don't notice that at all. I mean, the art is stunning throughout. So, regardless, I love this book. I really do, and a lot of people have been hating on it. So much so that I even seen Tom King write something about it on Twitter, defending his work. And it doesn't need defense. It's amazing, but the cover is beautiful. It's just got the mask with Batman and the Flash, on it, and the variant I love. It's got Wonder Woman's version that we've seen this whole time. It was Batman and Superman before, with the death of Maxwell Lord. So I love these variants. They do so well. But we open up and we've got this scene where it's been throughout, the little like confession scenes. And we've got Lagoon Boy, we've got Wally, and we've got Booster. And Lagoon Boy goes through saying, I'm master of the lagoon. He's been there for 3 months. And Wally says, I'm fastest man alive. Been here for 2.5 weeks. And Booster's arrogant ass, the hero you've never heard of. And it's my first day. And you're welcome. Like, okay. So we switch to Lagoon Boy, and I love this page. It is so beautiful. And he is doing a simulation. And that's all we see right away. But then we switch to Wally. He's laying on the bed in Sanctuary, and he's saying, come on, don't be scared. He says, Jai, his son. And he's putting on the mask. It's just a mask. He just wants to see. He wants to still be daddy. So we kind of get into just a little bit of what we're going to see later on. But then, we get this like welcome of Booster. And it's kind of like these almost like I don't know, these old people that are supposed to be Martha and John. I'm not sure. But I don't trust them. They're super creepy. But they said we've prepared everything for you, and they're just kind of weird to me. But we go back to Lagoon's simulation, and he's keeps going over and over, and we're going to see these simulations throughout for each character that we've seen past so far. So then we go to Wally, and Wally's simulation is heartbreaking. He's in this room. He wants to be in his backyard. He gets to see his wife, and he gets to see his 2 kids, see Iris, see Jai, and it doesn't say her name, but I thought his daughter's name was Nora, and I cannot remember correctly. And he's having these like pre-Flashpoint flashbacks. So he's kind of getting like 2 timelines mixed up, which I found like super interesting to see, his take on what he wanted to bring back to the table. Then we get to see Boosters, the beginning of Boosters at least, with this, kind of just a small interaction with the old man. And he goes to his bed and kind of puts his head down and tries to figure out what the hell is going on. We switch back to Lagoon Boy. I mean, there's a lot of switching, but it's really good. We see this. He's repeating this over and over 337 times. He's done this simulation from when Cyborg put together the team of not Justice League, Teen Titans. And basically it was just a huge massacre from Trigon. And he keeps doing this over and over, and his mouth is bleeding at this point. And then we get to see a little bit more, another heartbreaking page from Wally. And he's battling Freeze, and he's got his kids with him. And, he's like ready, talking to the kids. They're like, love you, daddy, love you too. And he's, it's just heartbreaking because he's getting these timelines messed up, and he wants to see his kids and he wants to see his family. And it's just absolutely, I love it. I love the way Tom King has written this. I can't say enough good. And then we get to see a little bit more into Booster, and he's talking back and forth with the computer. And it almost is giving you this like uneasy feel of Booster's kind of losing it. And if he hasn't lost it yet, it's going to happen soon. And I feel like they're trying to push that because they're trying to push that he's the bad guy, which or the villain, the bad guy. But I don't feel like that's what he is. I really don't. Um, and then again, we go back to Lagoon Boy. Like every, couple pages, we keep switching back and forth, and it's just the simulation over and over again. He's basically torturing himself, over and over again for the situation with Trigon, which he couldn't, ever go back and change or do it over. So he's torturing himself, and then we get to see a little conversation between Wally and his daughter. And I still want to call her Nora. I should have Googled it, and I cannot remember. I'm not a huge Flash person, but I mean, I know the basics. But she's asking, how did you get your powers? And he says, I was with Uncle Barry, and we were in the lab, and the lightning hit me, and there was all these fancy chemicals. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense. And he's like, no, it doesn't. But then he tucks her into bed, and we get to see some more crazy Booster. Like, he is talking, basically the simulation that he had compared to Lagoon and compared to Wally is him talking to himself, him yelling at himself, him getting mad at himself. Basically, just a conversation to make him look, again, in my eyes at least, crazy. But Lagoon gives up. He just, has done this so many times. He's just losing hope, and he says, I'll come back tomorrow. And then the emergency call starts. And we get to see his reaction to the emergency call. He takes off. So we get to see Flash's reaction to this emergency call, which I'm assuming obviously is when all of the whatever has happened went down with the deaths and everything else. So, Flash is running, trying to figure out what is going on. And then Booster is still, punching himself in the face, going back and forth with himself. And there's an emergency call. He ignores it first. And then still is confronting himself. And then finally, is like, well, should we do something about that? And then finally takes off to see what's going on. Well, as Lagoon leaves, he comes upon Red Devil and Hotspot, and they're already dead. And you see this spear go through his back, which gives us no idea what. I mean, it doesn't help us out at all. But when he dies, he's laughing, and you see, a couple of the bodies on the floor, people that we didn't know previous to this issue. And Wally finds Arsenal. And every part of this story with Wally is heartbreaking. And he says, Roy, why? Why did it happen? The kids, I didn't want to be alone. It's why he was trying to remember his kids, pre-Flashpoint. So, it's horrible. Like, this is one of those stories that just makes you feel bad, but then instantly. And this is kind of where I don't, it still could be Harley, it doesn't make sense. It still could be Booster. We get nothing because he's whapped on the head. And I tried to zoom in because I bought it digitally, and it is a mallet. It's very obviously a mallet, and at the end of it, you can see her gloves. And she's just there like, oh, I didn't know you were here, Booster. Like, oh, this isn't a big deal. Not at all. And she's like, oh, how's it going, at Sanctuary so far? And he's like, well, everyone's dead. Like, so, it's my first day. Everyone's dead, so it can't be going that great. And then we get this page where we see, more people that we didn't know were gone, besides in that little bit with Lagoon. But we've got Commander Steel, Gunfire, Tattooed Man, Narc, Red Devil, Protector, Ivy, Solstice, and Nemesis. So we've added a couple more bodies to this count. And there wasn't as big of an impact with those characters as, like, the first one I was livid about, Roy. And the second one, I was livid about Ivy. So these ones weren't quite as dramatic as deaths, but what got me in this one so much is basically Wally. Because there was, like I said earlier, I'm not a huge Flash person, but this one really pulls at the heartstrings and really, makes you fall in love with the character. And I've always said good things about Tom King's writing. I really do think he's, very talented, and this just shows that. And I know a lot of people don't like it, and I think it's a shame because I think it's really, really good. But I am actually babysitting today, and I had a little girl that was so good this whole time. So she wants to say hi. Can you say hi, Sarah Bear?
Hi.
Can you say, have a nice day?
Nice day.